subtle and sparse is the gain of the one at the top. For art is a form of catharsis, and love is a permanent flop. And work is the province of cattle, and rests for the clam in a shell. So I'm thinking of throwing the battle. Would you kindly direct me to hell? Oh, well, as long as you're back, pull up a chair, why don't you? Did you like my inspirational poem, Mr. Benchley? Yes, you have heard it before. I try, but I can't seem to write anything new. This typewriter won't permit it. I don't do anything. I used to bite my nails, but I don't even do that anymore. I'm still here waiting, God knows why. But you know that, you're looking right at me. Disapproval in your animated eyebrows. Not my fault. I expected to wink out at about age 30. In 1965, when I was 70, an interviewer asked about my plans. I didn't have any. I said if I had any decency, I'd be dead. My land is bare of chattering folk, the clouds are low along the ridges, and sweeps the air with curly smoke from all my burning bridges. One afternoon bench when Noel Coward was a guest at the round table, he wasn't Sir Noel yet, he said an extraordinary thing, rather loudly I thought. He said, "You know, darlings, anything quotable said by a woman in the early 20th century will be attributed to Dorothy Parker." Oh, that's sweet of you to agree, Mr. Benchley. But what's my fame all boiled down to by this time? One silly little poem entitled News Item. Men seldom make passes at girls who wear glasses. I'm surprised they didn't put that on my grave. Oh, the NAACP finally buried my long languishing ashes in a Baltimore garden in 1988. They inherited what little remained of my estate. I had left everything to Martin Luther King. There's an epitaph there with a stone, and it says, there's a stone and an epitaph, and it says, "Excuse my dust." I must have suggested in a drunken stupor. They tacked on something about my advocacy of civil rights. Here's what my resting place should say. Wherever she went, including here, it was against her better judgment. Lillian Hellman was the executor of my estate. I don't think she approved of the bequest. Something about my leaving her out of it. But I wanted the money to accomplish something, not just advertise affections. Are you seriously saying that it's love makes life worth living? Always the joker. No, Bench. The secret of life is learning to live without love. I proved it. Scientifically. Once when I was young and true, someone left me sad, broke my brittle heart in two, and that is very bad. Love is for unlucky folk. Love is but a curse. Once there was a heart I broke, and that, I think, is worse. Your heart broken? Don't be absurd. If you don't know we weren't lovers, how can I convince anybody else? Oh, life is a glorious cycle of song, a medley of extemporanea. And love is a thing that can never go wrong. And I am the Queen of Romania. My most obsessive and destructive love? I'd vote for Edwin Pond Parker II, husband number 1. Waiting for him to call, afraid that he might. Hoping that he'd stay, hoping that he'd leave for good. Didn't you read Big Blonde, Mr. Benchley? He was thin, quick, attractive, with shifting lines about his shiny brown eyes. He drank largely. She found that entertaining. Her habitual greeting to him was an allusion to his state of the previous night. "Oh, what a peach you had," she used to say through her easy laugh. "I thought I'd die the way you kept asking the waiter to dance with you." She liked him immediately upon their meeting. She was enormously amused at his fast, slurred sentences and his interpolations of apt phrases from vaudeville acts and comic strips. She thrilled at the feel of his arm, tucked firm beneath the sleeve of her coat. He kept me a schoolgirl. That's another way of saying he stunted my growth. Big Blonde was Eddie and me. So's this.
Maybe, if I don't think about it, the telephone will ring. Sometimes it does that. Maybe if I count to 500 by fives, it might ring by that time. I'll count very slowly and I won't cheat. And if it rings when I get to 300, I won't stop. I won't answer it until I get to 500. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Oh, please ring, please. This is the last time I'm going to look at the clock. It's 10 minutes past 7. He said that he would telephone at 5 o'clock. I'll call you at 5, darling. I think that's where he said darling. I'm almost sure that it is. I know that he called me darling twice, and the other time was when he said goodbye. Goodbye, darling. He was busy and he can't say much in the office, but he called me darling twice. He couldn't have minded that I called him up. I know that you shouldn't keep telephoning them. I know that they don't like that, but he couldn't have minded. It couldn't have bothered him. Of course you don't bother me, he said. I'll call you at 5, darling. Goodbye, darling. He was busy and he was in a hurry and there were people all around him, but he still called me darling twice. That isn't enough if I never see him again. Oh God, please don't think my prayer is too little to you. You sit up there with your angels all about you and the stars slipping by, and I come to you with a little prayer about a telephone call. Don't laugh. You don't know how it feels. Nothing can touch you. No one could twist your heart in his hands. This is suffering, God. This is bad, bad suffering. Maybe he's just going to come here without calling me up. Maybe he's on his way. Maybe he went home to call me from there, and somebody came in. He doesn't like to call me in front of people. He might even be hoping that I would call him. I could do that. I could call him. No, I mustn't. Oh, God, please don't let me call him. I don't expect you to make this easy for me. I know that you can't do that. For all that you could make a world. Only God, please, don't let me go on suffering. I'm not going to call him. I wouldn't call him again as long as I live. He can rot in hell before I call him again. Why do they always hate you as soon as they're sure of you? I should think it would be so sweet to be sure.
Dear God, please keep me away from the telephone. Just let me have a little bit of pride left. I think I'm going to need it. Oh, what good is pride when I can't stand it when I don't talk to him. Pride is such a shabby little thing, and I'm not saying that just because I want to call him. I'm not. Maybe I misunderstood him. Maybe I'm supposed to call him at 5 o'clock. Call me at 5, darling. You could have said that perfectly well. Call me at 5, darling. Yes, I'm sure that's what he said. Aren't you going to let me call him? Wouldn't you relent? I'm going to count to 5. I'm going to count to 500 by 5s. I'm going to count very slowly and very fairly. And if he doesn't telephone by then, I'm going to call him. I will. Oh, dear, please, sweet God, dear Father in heaven, let him call before then. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Certainly I was that much in love, Mr. Benchley, you know that. How often did you tell me, I told you so?